These are the patch 9.16 notes. Going to try to go in with a completely blank mind. I will say these past couple of patches have had some incredibly, I want to say questionable decisions, but the reality is they're not questionable, they're bad. So let's see if this is the patch that turns it all around. Hey, humans are dancer. What? It's patch 9.16, the one where Pantheon falls from the sky. So obviously we've got the Pantheon rework. The Pantheon himself comes back to us in the form of Atreus and is ready to rock and roll with his trusty Spear and Field. We're also making some smaller changes to some champions, which include a lot of mid laners like Corki, Azir, Leblanc, SYNDRA, that's a good one, and others. See ya, Space Cowboy. Okay, so obviously, if you have been living under a rock, the Pantheon rework is here. I honestly think he's on the stronger side. I don't know if they ever did some tuning from when I played him on the PvE, but this is just like a bottom to top upgrade of the champion. Pantheon mains love him. People that don't care about Pantheon previously are like, wow, he's kind of cool now. I will say that he kind of seems like he's got that modern league champion design going on where he's got a little bit too much. Like every single skill was upgraded in every way. The E, which makes him invulnerable, lets him block up to 2 turret shots, I believe, which feels like a little too much safety for a diver champion like this. I think if he ends up getting parts of his kit removed, which historically we've seen with champions like Akali and Aurelia, they come out and they're amazing and they're fun, but they've just got way too much going on. I think if he gets anything removed, it's probably going to be his E, invulnerability. I think they should take that from invulnerability to damage in that direction to reduced damage. But otherwise, I think this is honestly like a 9 out of 10 rework. I think they did a really cool job. I'm a big fan of Pantheon. I've always loved playing him support because I love like simple champions that do like 1 or 2 things really, really well, and have innate weaknesses. And he still feels like that champion. So good job on the Pantheon rework. Azir, Q cooldowns increased late. Honestly, I would rather see his early, this early nerfed rather than late. Corki and Azir are definitely 2 mid laners that need nerfs, so it's good to see the fast reaction time on this. I don't really think they're hitting him where he actually needs to be hit, but it's okay. Base attack damage and attack damage growth decrease. Corki's been too present in pro play due to his all too reliable damage, so we're nerfing him. Yeah, I mean, straight and to the point. 5 attack damage and attack damage growth down 0.5. That's a fair nerf. Mundo, W tenacity flattened. E cooldown now scales. Wow. With 4 patches worth of smaller changes already under his belt, the mad lad's been asking for something more substantial. Tenacity from 10 to 30 at all ranks. That is so massive. Because I'm pretty sure this will mean, I don't know what Mundo maxes naturally, but what this basically means is you put 1 point into W. Wowzers. Which allows you to obviously dump points into other things that scale with cooldown, things like E. So I could see this being a very, very strong buff for Mundo. Echo, E bonus damage increased, R cooldown decreased late. Echo has room for more power in all areas of play. It doesn't really feel like they're putting too much thought into these. They used to have a lot more to say about like why he's being buffed or nerfed, but I like the. I guess I'm down with the straightforward approach. Echo has more room, so it's a pretty good buff. I mean, 20 seconds off of his R late game is pretty good. Ezreal, Q AP ratio decrease. Oh, they're finally nerfing Ezreal. AP Ezreal's burst has made him a bit of a terror, so we're taking some power out of the build and hitting his early game safety. God bless. This champion is cancer, way more so than Sivir. Sivir at least is immobile. You can't have a mobile champion that's way too safe, scales infinitely, and also has things like he can buffer out his E. Like, I can flash Q him as Leona, and you would think that that would catch him. Nope, he can just basically press his E during any of that lockdown and get out of it. I'm on board with any Ezreal nerf, honestly. I hate playing against him. I hate having him on my team. Fiora, E cooldown decreased early. Bonus attack speed now scales. What are you doing? Why are you buffing Fiora? This is the first just straight up terrible idea I've seen. Fiora does not need buffs. What? Jax is getting a buff? Bad idea. Just awful. Not even gonna elaborate. Everyone knows this is a bad idea. Don't buff Jax and Fiora. Kassadin, W basic attack damage modifier increased. Strengthen the aspects of Kassadin that can keep some of the shorter range mid laners in check, especially if they're champions he should be naturally good against anyways. As much as I don't like playing against Kassadin, I do think he's in need of this, so good idea. Leblanc, Q AP ratio increased, reverting the nerf Leblanc received earlier this year since she can use more power in a way that average players can utilize. Okay. This is a very, very mid laner centric patch. I feel like they took the opportunity to like there's one guy on the design team that plays top laner. He's like a Fiora Jax 2-trick, and he's like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna sneak buffs in on my main while everyone's focusing on the mid lane buffs." This is fine. Most of these changes are fine. I'm really not on board with buffing Jax and Fiora. Lux, this is the controversial one. W shield increased late. When we hit Lux's shield with nerfs in 914, we were mainly quelling the builds that took advantage of its safety. However, as a result, we ended up hitting support Lux a lot harder than anticipated. We're giving back some of that damage mitigation so she can still keep her partner meaningfully safe in the bot lane. I will say, after playing support Lux, the W is essentially worthless right now. But the flip side of that coin is that when she's in a position where she's maxing W, that's when she becomes like a problematic like utility support, where I really think that I'm okay with Lux being like a poke killing support in the bot lane. But this really just encourages like the W max aftershock style of play, which is really bad for bot lane. So, I mean, it is what it is. Like, they obviously have a bias towards Lux. She doesn't deserve these buffs, but it is what it is, man. It's just kind of like one of those things that you have to deal with when you play in the bot lane. They like Lux. They've got skins to sell. Nocturne, base armor increased, W bonus attack speed increased. Nocturne has been overshadowed by other junglers. It's funny that they still refer to him as a jungler. I don't know about you guys. Every time I see Nocturne, he's being played mid in this like cheese all-in assassin style. So I think this is one of those areas where they're just kind of out of touch with how people are actually playing him. I don't ever see Nocturne in the jungle position. So, I mean, if this leads to an increased rate of play for Nocturne mid, bad change. Riven, Q cooldown, flattened.
6 motherfucking months, baby, why?
Yo, Rock Control coming in 6 months at tier 2. Let's get some gasms in the chat, boys. Truly appreciate your continued support, man. We're reverting the scaling cooldowns changes to Riven's Q from 910. I believe this is the patch where she got nerfed, but they also gave her a compensation buff. So they're reverting that. They finally realized, what is this, like 3 months later, that when you nerf a champion, you don't have to give them compensation buffs, especially when there's someone that's consistently hitting 54% win rate in Challenger. So, I mean, it's like 3 months too late, but finally. Sejuani, Frost Armor, Base Armor, and Magic Resistance decreased, ratio increased, Q cooldown increased. Sejuani has been a dominant force in pro play for a while, despite receiving some nerfs, taking more substantial swing at her power. I'm kind of torn here because she is, as they said, a dominant force in pro play. Not a dominant force in solo queue, but like one of just the straight up reliable picks. Like, if you're off-road and you play Sejuani, you'll probably do fine. If you need a tank and you play Sejuani, you'll probably do fine. So I hate to see those reliable, like, simple picks that people can pick up get nerfed, but obviously if she's too reliable in solo queue, she's beyond reliable in pro play, so it is what it is. Shin, Q, oh, these are really cool. I like this. Q empowered damage ratio increase, E damage increase. Shin could use a little more power when split pushing in the mid to late game. I'm on board with this. I like Shin. I think he's a very well-designed champion. I like playing with him. I even somewhat enjoy playing against him. There's a lot of cool things, a lot of cool dynamics that happen with, like, you know, canceling his ult and playing safe if he has ult, or, you know, disrupting his split push and playing around his auto attack canceling thing. I like it. I like that he's getting some love, and these look like pretty decent buffs actually. So good. Thumbs up. Singed, base mana increased. R bonus. Oh, God. Giving Singed a little extra oomph so his insanity can lead to some more wins if he makes it to the late game. I mean, it's not too much. It's not too strong of a buff, but it's a buff. So, Yikes. Scion, base mana increased. Q base min and max damage increased. Remove damage reduction on monsters. Smoothing out Scion's rougher edges, rounding out his base stats, and removing a mechanic that no longer seems needed. AKA he's not being played in the jungle. Overall, he'll have more chances to brawl with his opponents in top lane, especially with other fighters. What? This was his mana regen? His mana regen was 8.0008. What? Why? Why was it ever that specific number? Okay, this obviously does not matter at all. They've been doing this a lot over the past like 10 patches where they'll just like round numbers up so it looks better in their back end. I've never seen it this absurd before. 8.0008 to 8. Like obviously that's not going to affect the game ever. Neither are these, but this is the actual buff, and I'm down with it. I like Scion. I think he's a well-established, strong identity character. Sivir, WAD ratio decreased early. Sivir is strong when coupled with Yuumi. She's especially strong. The cat is getting nerfed. Spoiler alert if you haven't gotten to her section yet. We'll get to that. But we think Sivir could use nerfs too to quell her early game wave clear and give opponents a chance to put her on the back foot. I'm so down with this. I think she really... I mentioned her earlier when I talked about Ezreal. Ezreal is more annoying because he's mobile. Sivir at least has the weakness of being immobile. But even against hard engaged champions, like she's got a spell shield and above platinum level... they'll just never miss it. They just never miss the spell shield. So what that results in is a lot of lanes where you're just sitting there, which is really, really boring. So, and yet, not only are you sitting there, you're having to sit back because the ricochet will hit you if you're just sitting in the wave. So I'm definitely down with this. This is a good change. Sylas, Q2 damage reduction now applies to minions and monsters. Okay, the only thing I have to say about this is why this might not be a good idea is that they're nerfing Yuumi and Sivir on the same patch. I do think Sivir is strong by herself. I don't think Yuumi is strong by herself. Yuumi's a champ. We'll get to it when I get to Yuumi. Q2 damage reduction now applied. Dude, just leave this champion alone, man. Just can we go can we go 2 patches without them touching Sylas? SYNDRA, Q bonus damage against champions increased. E base damage increased. Oh, okay, so they're giving her wave clear. This is actually one of the things that I've always liked her as a champion, is that I play her support for clarity. I play her support, and I've liked that it was one of the few supports that can just straight up help push the wave for very low mana cost. So obviously this is going to help mid lane way more than it does support, and then just raw 15 damage. Bonus to SYNDRA. Someone's got a boner for SYNDRA on the balance team, man. I'm a big fan. I already think that she's totally an underappreciated support. She's one of the champs that I played all the way to Diamond on my off meta. That's not touching her wave clear. Okay, maybe I'm missing something. What am I misunderstanding here? 15% bonus damage against champions. Against champions. Okay, my fault. Yeah. Scrap everything I said about the wave clear. I don't know why I read that as minions, but it says champions. But yes, look for SYNDRA support, because this is, I believe, the second buff they've given to her, and she's already totally underappreciated. Tahm Kench, base movement speed decreased, E-shield duration decreased. We're making Tahm Kench more vulnerable to ganks as a countermeasure to the safety he brings his already safe bot lane buddies. Ouch, 10 base movement speed. And the shield only lasts 2 seconds now? Dude, rip the frog, man. Poor Tahm Kench mains. Yuumi, Q and Bower damage decreased late. Okay, let's talk about this. It does look like they took one of the nerfs off, but most of them went through. Yuumi's damage is too high for how reliable it is, especially when coupled with other high damage bot lane partners. That makes it sound like she couples well with like Draven, which she doesn't. I think they've got like it mixed up, and they're not really understanding why and how they should be nerfing Yuumi. If anything, they should be nerfing the E, the heal, because that's what couples well with champions like Sivir, not high damage bot lane partners. She couples best with like Ezreal and Sivir. And the fact that they're already nerfing Sivir because she pairs well with Yuumi, and then they say something like this and also nerf Yuumi, The champion's at 46% win rate. She is so rarely seen in solo queue already, and she's one of the champions that your team has to play around you. You will never get more free losses than when you play Yuumi in solo queue. You're going to get a lot of free wins too, because haha, e-girl champion, literally getting carried, etc. But if the team doesn't play around you, the champion is worthless. Worthless. Lowest agency champion ever. So to see them like, and this is a harsh nerf too, 40% slow to 20% slow, that's really, really harsh. Luckily, it's still 80% when you're maxing it. But slow duration, 1.5 seconds. Yeah, I'm just not on board with this, man. I'm just not on board with this. She's a monster in pro play. Yeah, but she's a monster when coupled with safe champions, not other high damage bot lane partners. It's not like we're seeing Lucian Yuumi, Draven Yuumi. Oh well. Ziggs, WAP ratio increased, cooldown decreased early, R cooldown decreased late. Ziggs isn't doing so hot right now, so we're buffing up one of his less potent abilities and letting him access to his ultimate more frequently. Cool. Pretty decent change. Biscuit delivery. Rip this rune. Rip this rune. This is gonna hit a lot of. Roles, honestly. Quite a lot of roles are bringing inspiration this season. Health and mana per biscuit decreased. Healing duration decreased. Permanent mana per biscuit increased. These biscuits are too fresh, giving too much sustain to its holder during landing phase. Many of these changes are to the rune itself. The ones that affect the biscuits directly will also apply to the biscuits occasionally acquired through Klepto. So you only get 3 biscuits anymore. You get them at 2 minutes, 4 minutes, 6 minutes now. So you get them a little bit earlier. 15% missing health to 10% missing health. Health per biscuit, 12% of missing health. Mana per biscuit, 10% of missing mana. And the healing duration, oh, it comes out faster now though. Yeah, still rip this rune. It'll be interesting to see like the shakeups that it has in matchups, like to see if people, because most people that are taking inspiration just take biscuits and the CDR one, Cosmic Insight. So it'll be interesting to see if this leads to like more aggressive runes. Because if it leads to just more defensive runes, like, oh, I can't take biscuit delivery, I'll just take bone plating now, like, and go into the green tree, that would be a bad change for the game. But if it leads to like more people taking domination, I'd be okay with it. A-Ram balance changes. Who cares? Honor 5 rewards. It's a chroma. Who cares? Ranked. We're unifying Challenger and Grandmaster's 0 LP demotion rules with Master's existing rules. This is mainly an edge case scenario. Change since losing LP over a few days or weeks naturally demotes players into Masters before they reach 0 LP. As well as losing a game at 0 LP at Grandmaster or Challenger demotes you to Diamond 1 with 75 LP. Okay, that's extremely fringe. That won't affect basically anybody. And then there's 2 skins. So overall, I would say this is a better patch than the last ones. I would love to see the patches trend more towards this, where we're seeing champions that actually need targeted. I mean, most of these balance changes are like okay at worst and like good at best. So I would like to see the patch notes trend towards this, where they're not just making like randomly throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks, a la the Renekton shield break change from 2 patches ago and Blitzcrank shield change. You know, that I really feel like we're on a downward spiral with these balance changes, where we're just seeing so much like inexplicable stuff. And really the only thing that sticks out as like a genuinely bad idea is Jax buff and Fiora buff. So overall, I would give this patch like it's like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. It's not terrible, but it's not a great patch. So there's some interesting things to look forward to, but let me know what you guys think about the patch down in the comments. Take it easy. Bye-bye.